Here we've got Bryony from the RSX and Laura from the NAPRA 17. And yeah, we'll just start asking questions and then open up to the floor for some of you to sort of ask your questions as well. So I know you've both sort of been away at events recently, so welcome back. Should we start with sort of how it's all going at the moment?
Yeah, well, the last event I did was Miami World Cup, and I got a top 10 there. But my best place finish at the end of last year was a 4th at the Olympic venue in Japan. So that was the highlight of my my kind of comeback since Rio. And it's a comeback because I took the time out, had a baby, and then so it's been a bit of a roller coaster road, but I'm really enjoying being back on the scene and racing again.
So how are things going with your NAPRA segment?
Yeah, the winter trains have been going very well. So we're training in Portugal in Miramora, and we didn't go to Miami, but actually we had plenty of wind and waves to train there, so it's very nice. We trained with big waves that we will have probably in Tokyo, so we're quite happy with that.
Fantastic. So Laura, tell me about your preparations for 2020 and what you're up to sort of aim towards that event.
So we are about to start the Europeans racing with Palma in first week of April. So that will be our first race, main event of the year. And then we'll have the Europeans in Weymouth, so hometown. And then we'll probably go to France after that for the final of the World Cup, and then we go. The Worlds are at the end of the year in New Zealand, so it's a long season because we'll have Worlds at the end of 2019 and beginning of 2020 in New Zealand and Australia. So basically, back to back in winter again.
That's a huge amount of travelling around. How do you manage your schedule and sort of your life outside of sailing?
Well, yeah, it's a huge amount of travelling, and especially like I do a lot of my travel now with my family, with my baby. So we try to set up a home from home. A lot of booking Airbnbs and sending equipment to different places around the world. Like I think my equipment now is currently 5 different containers, or vans driving down to southern Europe, and yeah, so trying to keep tabs on all of that. Yeah, it's quite a logistical challenge, but also you need to know what equipment has gone where, and make sure that equipment is all sort of good enough for the training or the racing that you want to be doing at that venue, and that you've got enough spares and all of that. So it ends up, even though the Windsurfer is probably one of the easiest logistical classes, I still have to definitely keep tabs on everything, and all my kind of special gear, like my custom harnesses and my pulley systems, I always keep on me. I always travel with that stuff whenever I'm going, but the things like the boards and the sails, they can go off for a couple of months and I don't see them for a while, and then they reappear in a new country.
How does that compare with you?
The NAPRA is a bigger boat than the RSX, so currently we got 2 boats in Palma. But yes, again, as Bryony was saying, the stuff that you really want to keep with you are best clothing you want to use, and usually you throw them with them in a hand luggage, just because you don't want them to get lost. And then we need to do some kit selection, so we've done that during the winter, looking at different sails, different masts, and it's always difficult to choose what is going on a container and when, basically.
Brian, you mentioned that you are sort of juggling your family life and you're sort of a new mum. Can you tell us how that's going for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster. If you travel to a new country, there's new things that his immunity may not be used to, and keeping myself healthy and him healthy is definitely been a challenge, but one that I feel like I've got a great like support. Like I have a nanny that travels with us, and it's absolutely vital. She's my angel. She's my rock, really. So she takes a lot of the care during the day when I'm out on the water, and really helps reduce the noise and the potential stresses that comes with a baby. And then I get playtime in the evenings, which is always the bonus. He's quite a good sleeper. We're quite lucky, and he's definitely a good traveller as well. So it's not just about keeping me happy and keeping me sane. It's about his enjoyment as well. And we make sure that we take him, swimming if he wants, or playing football in the park, and that it's like home from home.
Brilliant. So just a question for both of you, and whoever wants to go first, jump in. What are your goals for 2019?
So we selected a country in all the classes. So we have a spot for the Olympics. And now for Chris and I sailing together, we've got the trials coming up. So that's very important for us to win those and be in a good position to then go and win a medal in Tokyo.
Yeah, this 2019 is the year before the games. It's always when everything starts heating up, and the competition, not just internationally but within the British team, starts kind of the pressure building, really. There's definitely a lot of new talent in the RSX women, and this is my 4th campaign for the Olympics, but this time round, my personal life is something to manage, but also the up and coming new girls are definitely have something to offer in the trials for me. It'll be I'll need to be really, really focused and try to just keep a cool head and focus on myself. I think that's the main thing, and not focus too much on the fact that it is an Olympic selection. The way that the British team like to run things is that every regatta counts, and you kind of know that. But at the same time, there's some mathematics involved, and we can't go into too much detail because we don't really want to have our competitors know too much about that, the international guys, because it may affect the trials process. So that's very important for the confidentiality. But certainly, we'll all be reporting on how well we're doing during those trials, and keeping you guys all updated, and certainly it will be clear who's coming through ahead, but it's about maintaining consistency through the season. You can't just get too buoyed from a win. You need to keep your cool head and focus in for a number of regattas during the season.
Can you tell us a little bit about the venue in Tokyo and its sort of unique challenges compared to Rio?
Yeah, like compared to Rio, so Rio, I mean, I went into Rio as one of the favourites for a medal, and unfortunately one of the things that was a challenge for me were the conditions and the course areas. They were very, very close to like huge cliffs and very varied winds that were quite unpredictable, and we spent a lot of time there in Rio, and also the scheduling wasn't always predictable. We got moved course areas on certain days, and so I had a lot of lessons learned from those Olympics that everything can change, and there's nothing set in stone, and absolutely, you're at the whim of nature. So I'm sure Tokyo will be no different in that, there's plenty of land influence, big high land that especially if there's offshore winds, can really affect the racing, and also it's an area where you get typhoons rolling through. Maybe not in the summer season, but certainly the way that the characteristics of the topography and the ocean currents, they can bring up huge waves and big onshore sea breezes. So there's going to be a lot of challenges in varied conditions, and I think you're going to have to be an all-rounder. You can't necessarily turn up and expect that it's going to be a light wind week, or conversely like strong wind, big waves. So yeah, it's definitely about being an all-rounder.
Here on the Women's Sailing Hub, we've been sort of chatting about the future of women's sailing. Earlier on, Annie was mentioning sort of challenges she was seeing in the sort of yachting world, with weight limits being sort of based on the average size for a man at 90 kilos, and obviously that doesn't work for very many women. On the Olympic side of things, can you see any sort of challenges sort of Olympic women's class sailing?
The NACRA 17, which is the class I sail, has been the first one, and it's the only one at the moment, which is mixed class, and it's quite fascinating seeing it. Actually, most of the helms are men, and the crews, which actually do most of the work, like pulling the ropes and stuff, are women, and I think we do quite a good job of that. But yeah, and definitely it's improving a lot, women in sailing. Through, SCA at the World Bow race, and then the Magenta project this year's. Caroline has just been appointed as the helm of the new America's Cup team for the Netherlands. So seeing all these inspiring women going on and sailing these boats, and in the Sail GP, the Marie Rieu, which is sailing the NACRA 17, she's the flight controller in the French boat. So hopefully we'll get more women coming through, and we'll get our chance to start sailing a bit more like 50-50 with the men. But there's definitely been an improvement in the past few years, and the Olympics is definitely pushing hard to have a 50% women, 50% gender balance already in Tokyo with the athlete quota, and probably for Paris 2024 they will do some more mixed events in the 470s. So that's a new kind of different way of sailing, and it's quite exciting.
Have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think any kind of women in sport is really tough. Last night I was watching the women's football, which is the America versus England, and it was amazing watching the two best teams in the world, and you could sort of blink and not really realise that it was women playing. They were phenomenal. The skill level was incredible, and I think that the professionalism and the women are getting into sport just as early as men, as young girls, and the support that girls coming through and women need, with that sort of the structure of the federations like the British Sailing Team and the funding support through local authorities. I think it's really starting to show girls that being a professional sportswoman is possible, and it can be a goal of a young girl. It's still very clear that there's limited sports that girls, they're sort of like guided towards, but sailing definitely has its arms open to girls, and I definitely see that in windsurfing. I mean, I always had the opportunity to race against the boys when I was a young girl, and when I was 16, I was national champion, beating the boys, and this was, this was how many years ago? 15 or so years ago. So it's or more. But yeah, it just shows that the girls can really mix it, but also that understanding that the support structure is needed, and that like Laura was saying, that those inspiring female figures around the sport, and just all of us kind of like handing across to the young up and coming generation our tips and our tricks and how our journey has shaped who we are, but also, you know, that they're going to set their own path. And I think the world of sport is changing in that regard. And there's sports like football and athletics and tennis where, you know, the women can really start shining now, and hopefully the media